which is the regressive left. The progressive left, well, there's this term called the regressive left and social justice warriors. And I have, unfortunately, especially prior to the Reason Rally, when I started really upping my awareness of this, I was falling into some of the traps and some of the word games and some of the attitudes that are pushed by what we call the regressive left. Okay, you have a liberal-minded attitude about social issues. You can have a liberal-minded attitude about fiscal issues, fiscal policies, that sort of thing, redistribution of wealth, socialism, things like that. I don't really get behind a lot of that stuff fiscally. Socially, I tend to go in the liberal direction in that I am pro-abortion, pro-human rights, equal rights for everybody, and I voiced that stuff on this podcast. However, there is a part of this left-wing folk who are totally off the rails, who have gone way beyond, who have gone into extremism, okay? And we call those guys the regressive left. And here's the thing, these are people who want to stifle free speech in the name of giving people equal rights. It is the most contradictory bunch of nonsense I've ever had anything to do with. And I wish I hadn't had anything to do with it, but unfortunately, because of my liberal leanings, I moved in that direction. And so often I have been accused of being one of these folks. And I want to tell you straight up, I am not one of these folks, okay? When it comes to freedom of speech, freedom, I want people to be able to say whatever they want to say, whenever they want to say it, ever, no matter what it is. I don't care. We should have that right. In fact, we do have that right according to our Bill of Rights. But the regressive left don't want that. They claim that this is a small, I don't know how small they are anymore. It's this infected colleges, and you can find YouTube videos of this stuff all over the place. We're talking about, safe spaces and being offended by what you say, and therefore you shouldn't be saying it. And how dare you? That's hate speech. You shouldn't be saying those things because that's just hate speech. You're a bigot. You're a racist. This sort of thing. How dare you say that feminism is not an issue? You should just go kill yourself, right? These kinds of things. I just go, really? Like, come on. That's ridiculous. And those people are ridiculous. And unfortunately, what we are seeing here is, and it's taken years for it to happen, you take a good thing, equal rights, women's rights, for example, okay? It is unquestionable from a historical perspective that women have been denied basic human rights. Okay, 1910, they couldn't vote, that sort of thing. We have moved forward because of feminism, because of suffrage, because of women standing up and saying this is wrong and getting men on their side and making laws happen and making things change. We have moved forward, and now women have equal rights. Under the law, that is the case, and socially, that is the case. That's my position, okay? I'm not a big feminist, especially now. I am pro-equal rights. I'm pro-human rights. What I'm really saying is that feminism has done its job. And yet you have people who co-opt this and start pushing their own ideas. And they do them for really weird motives. Money. Well, maybe not so weird. Money. You get power, personal validation. And generally speaking, you can identify these social justice warriors by the fact that they talk a lot. And they're not really doing much of anything. They just talk. And by the fact that they don't want you talking. Okay, that's not me. So, when you take a real live issue like racial disparity and you co-opt it into this thing where I'm gonna have equal rights by taking away your rights, That's not how it works. And that's regressive. That's not progressive. That's regressive. And that's why these people are rightfully being labeled as the regressive left. So that has been a problem. At least it's been a problem for me. I felt it's been a problem, and I haven't wanted to be associated with those people. So I'm just saying out loud right now, that ain't me. Okay, and that's not the show. There's never, ever, ever the purpose of this. Now, Babblefish and I disagree because he lumps all progressives, all liberals are regressives, are social justice warriors. And he generalizes this entire group of people, and he calls them the left, and they have this agenda and this sort of thing. Well, I think that's a huge mistake in doing that. And I think that that ends up insulting and castigating a lot of good people who are actually in the real world doing good work. And to lump all of them together and say, this entire philosophy and this entire group of people who want, social equality and want things to be a more level playing field for people, for opportunity and that sort of thing, they're just wrong. They're all just off the rails. Well, I'm sorry, I don't agree. And I think it's a mistake to lump all of them, including me, into that group. Okay. So, are the regressive left a huge problem? Well, they basically encompass the worst parts of social and racial justice issues, and they've given the real liberal folks in the left-wing platform a really, really, really bad name, to the point where Babblefish and lots of other people out there are identifying the entire left with these extremist nutcases. And so basically what I think is happening now is a reboot is going to be in order. Okay, some kind of they're just going to have to just kind of start over again, and we're going to have to unlabel this stuff and the stuff that's going on college campuses with the safe spaces and shouting down other people, and this, like, the idea that this is rational discourse and this is the way to make your point and this is the way to make things happen. There are some kids out there who are being taught some really, really bad lessons in how life actually operates. And these college kids are going to find the real world is not anywhere near as forgiving as their college professors or their, regressive friends who aren't going to really be friends for so long after they get into the real world and find out how things really work. So I think that the left needs a bit of a reboot, in the same way that I think the right wing needs a complete and utter reboot. I mean, the problems with the right are just as outrageous. And I'm not going on a roll right now about the right, so I'm just saying, generally speaking, I see that both of these groups have gone so far off their principles, conservative principles, liberal principles. These are things. For centuries these things have existed. And both sides have gone so far into demagoguery, in other words, appeals to emotion, and they can't even talk about them rationally anymore. And it's a bit of a land. It's just a minefield when you get into it.